People have not yet seen what I think is going to be the true extent, and I mean the true extent of what I would call the Brexit cope. Because, oh boy, if this article to go in the Telegraph, written by Frosty, yes, the very same Frosty, Lord Frost, David Frost. Well, not David Frost. Yeah, yeah, it was David Frost. Yes, it's David. I've got to get his name right now. Yeah. Oh, well, never mind. But yeah, you know what I'm talking about when I say Lord Frost. Our former, of course, chief negotiator appointed by Boris Johnson, former person in charge of the what was it now? He was like the whiskey enterprise or something, like a big like trade body for like the whiskey in Scotland. Was incredibly pro EU at one point. Strange that, isn't it? That a lot of these really ardent Brexiteers now, you can trace back a time when they were incredibly pro EU. Strange, really strange. But um, a lot of the panic from these Brexiteers is now setting in. Why is that setting in? Well, they have seen the writing on the wall. They know what's coming at the next general election. There is going to be a big Conservative wipeout. How big? We will find out, I'm sure. At least the local elections coming up are probably going to give us an indication how big the scale of the loss at a general election certainly is potentially going to be for them. But they are now worried that once they are out of power and in a minority position with a overwhelming Labour majority, potentially maybe not even the main party of opposition, that they are going to lose what Frost calls his biggest achievement, which is Brexit. And they are trying to champion in this article that they've got to try and get as quickly as possible Brexit back on track, and that they have just months to try and achieve like the big Brexit victories that they've wanted to achieve for so long, or else they risk losing a lot. Now, I've said this before, when we do get into the next parliament, we are going to see actual proper conversations about Brexit, because it's going to be unavoidable. And as we've said many times before, you cannot have a proper conversation about the UK economy unless you talk about Brexit as well and acknowledge that yes, it has had an impact on the economy, and what has happened since then and how it is affecting the economy. We've seen all the SMEs really worried about these new import checks, which has once again been delayed. But hey, go watch that video on that if you want to learn more. But they are worried about this, and especially the UK, as people think, oh, the UK must have like lots of big international companies in there. Yeah, and yes, we do. But 80% of the business infrastructure set up in the UK is dealt to deal with SMEs. This is people with companies with like less than 500 employees. And every SME can be of different size, different situations. So a lot of the UK businesses are incredibly worried about what is going to happen to them, what is going to happen to their European trade, because they've already seen it affected, and now they're worried that it's going to get even worse. Because I'll tell you what, most of this international trade stuff that the Brexiteers promised, as Frost is going to get into, has not delivered. So, before I do getting into Frosty's article, please do remember to click on the like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below there are links to my Patreon page, the one-off link called Buy Me a Coffee, where you can help buy me coffee, the YouTube thank you link, and of course, there's the Pony Club down below as well. And of course, remember, 'twas Wednesday yesterday, so there is a new video for the Pony Clubbers and of course the Patreon members as well. So do go check those out if you are subscribed to that. And if you do subscribe to it, well, you get access to all the other Pony Club content that we've made as well. So do go check those out, because we are getting ever closer to the 100th video, which I think, and I feel we should do something special for that eventually. If you are a Pony Clubber or the Patreon, do let me know what you want to do for that in this week's video. But that's for another time. But anyway, let's crack on into this. So please do, like I say, click on the like and share button. And thank you for everyone who does help support the channel. Even if you do just click those buttons, it all helps. So Let's crack on into this article coming from the Telegraph with the title of "We Must Get Brexit Back on Track or Risk Labour Unravelling Our Biggest Achievement." So, 5 years ago, Brexit was the biggest issue in British politics. It was a Conservative government that finally delivered it, and the world's most comprehensive trade and cooperation agreement. I again, uh, again, I'm bringing this now as permanent prop, but pressing X to doubt, pressing X to doubt that statement. A deal that many said was impossible. Yeah, certainly being so comprehensive, we said was impossible because the actual deal that we did got was completely bare bones. It ignored so many vital sectors. It ignored so many different things, and we are still dealing with the consequences of that being so bad at the moment. But he continues. Yet, now too many Conservatives seem to see Brexit as more of an embarrassing secret than a huge democratic achievement. And that's what it turned out to be. It's just a massive, embarrassing secret. The Conservatives and the Brexiteers in this particular case overpromised what Brexit would deliver. And of course, the crazy fundamentalists took over and drove this incredibly hard Brexit, which was the thing. Everyone wanted Brexit, but when it came down to it, they then couldn't decide what Brexit they wanted. This is what eventually saw that Brexit bloc in the Conservatives pushing for Brexit finally break apart once they had, well, as they say, once the dog had caught the ambulance, the dog didn't know what to do. And that's exactly what happened here with Brexit. They didn't know what to do. This is why you've seen so many disagreements amongst the what used to be a very unified faction just completely break apart. So, and bear in mind, this is also another reason why we should also bring up the fact why Labour has been sort of hesitant to talk about Brexit. Because the second you talk about maybe undoing it or anything like that, that fragmented Brexit bloc, which is causing a lot of the infighting in the Tory party, might suddenly start to, well, fix itself, realign. Maybe, hey, we've got to, fight the Labour enemy. We'll worry about Brexit later. We've got to fight Labour now because they might undo Brexit. So that's why I can see, and again, you may disagree or agree with me on this point. That's why Labour have been very hesitant to talk about it. Most ministers do not talk about it because they don't want to sort of reopen it. But we've seen the polls, we've seen which direction the British people are thinking about Brexit, that is not gone well, that it has not been a good thing. And eventually, you can offer at that point people to change their mind on that. And that seems to be the direction that Labour are going in. We've talked about that before. But anyway, back to this. So, most ministers don't talk about it because there's, well, nothing good to talk about Brexit, hence why they aren't talking about it. And indeed, often give the impression that it would be best now to forget that we ever did it and carry on as if Brexit never happened. Well, you can't keep ignoring it forever. This is one of the big problems the Conservatives are coming up against. They are coming up against Brexit problems, and then they're like, oh, we can't actually talk about Brexit because then we might have to acknowledge that there are problems being caused by Brexit. And, well, we can't admit that because there's another faction in their party that if you even say there's a problem with Brexit, well, it just causes an argument. So best not to talk about it at all to begin with. So, continues. We do not think that that is good enough. The Conservative Party made Brexit happen. Indeed, it did. And it's going to be an albatross around its neck. And indeed, I have said before in the past, I think you will even eventually see a faction in the Conservative Party emerge, possibly during the upcoming Conservative Civil War, that has a complete 180 on Brexit, saying actually Brexit was incredibly bad and that we need to rejoin the European Union. That faction a lot of course, Boris Johnson kicked out of the Conservative Party, or at least the MPs in that sort of faction, still in very much part of the party, biding their time, waiting for the opportunity. And once that happens, that could be a very interesting direction to see what the non well, actually, what the party does in that. What happens? Like I say, we'll see what happens in the wars to come. But back to it. So if we can't now be bothered to defend it, it will be the Conservatives who pay the price. Then Labour will start to undo it. We must do better. We must now show the respect to the voters in 2016 and 2019, the fundamental change in how our country is run. We now must get back on track. Except that was not what was on offer. The idea to change the way that the country is run wasn't something that was put forward either in 2016 or 2019. There was nothing really fundamental, this change they talk about in how the country is run. The country has pretty much continued running as is even before 2016. There has been not this change, because the real change would be sort of changing to the voting system or something like that. That would be a real fundamental change, how we would see sort of the country run. They have not wanted to deliver on that, and they would never really deliver on that, even though we have seen a conservative once long ago in Conservative Home actually campaign for a a change on to the voting system. So we'll see what happens there. So what's, of course, his answer? How does Frost say we must get back on track? So that means sweeping away the unnecessary Brexit gloom. Okay, so this is how we tackle Brexit gloom. He says our economic problems stem not from Brexit, but from deep-rooted issues like low productivity, poor planning, high immigration, and the high tax burden. All those problems existed prior to Brexit. And you could solve those problems by yourself. But the Conservatives have not really taken a tackle to that. High immigration is great, because that means you've got a very big workforce. That means now you can plan, you can expand stuff, you can build and develop your economic base. You provide all of this. Low productivity is a symptom of underinvestment that not only the government has been really poor to do, but businesses themselves have not done, because the government hasn't incentivized it. Poor planning, once again, this is the guy whose party has been in power for over 14 years and done nothing about it. And then the high tax burden. Well, we all saw what happened when Liz Truss tried to do that, right? Once again, the idea, oh, the tax burden is just too high. Anyway, he continues. Leaving the single market and custom union has cost under 1% of GDP. Not according to the OBR. Not according to the OBR. But hey, remember, this is Frost. He's a pro-Brexiteer. He's not really going to be honest with the truth. Since then, Britain has grown faster than Germany, than France, Germany, or Italy. And the UN figures this month do show that Britain is the fourth world's largest exporter. Again, X to doubt on that. I haven't seen this particular UN figures this month, but X to doubt. And of course, when you look at issues in inflation and other things like this, Germany and France doing a lot better than us in many other economic areas. I would highly suspect that the quote growth figures are being heavily cherry picked, but of course he doesn't tell you what the growth figures he's referring to, nor where he got those numbers. So I would highly suspect those are cherry picked. So back to it. So with a new reforming economic strategy, one driven by an effective and entrepreneurial state, not one that picks winners. Yes, of course, referring back to an old free market fundamentalist trope of the zombie economy, that we have picked winners. Might he expand on that? Of course, he's not. Not one that has picked winners, but one that can spot where structural reforms are now needed and deliver them rapidly. We can do even better. Remember, you've been in power ultimately really since 2016, very much so since 2019, and yet you have delivered on none of that. This guy was even part of the government, and yet nothing. So he continues, some things we can do straight away. We can and must change the rules to cut legal migration dramatically. So now he's talking about cutting legal migration. Um, how then are you going to fill the problem of the economy of we have a lot of unemployed or a lot of, shall we say, unfulfilled positions because of the dramatic cut in immigration from Europe that has caused? Again, he doesn't say reason why they have to do that or how that's going to happen, but maybe we'll see. So this is critical to boosting capital investment, giving British workers more skills, and increasing growth across the whole country. So why hasn't your government then done that to boost skills? Yeah, honestly, that's this is all. A lot of this article is like, hold on, guys, you've been in power for over 15 years. You've had a lot of control, even more so since 2019. And yet, what exactly have you done? You're saying, oh, yeah, this is a problem. So, what have you exactly done to fix that problem? You know, this is kind of funny because this is the one of the things that I've seen local conservative councillors complain about, that you've had a government that's been in charge for over 14 years, and we want to keep things local and steer the conversation away from the national point of view. But these conservatives and these people that are going talking to a local sense are complaining about the things that is very much the national government is responsible for by cutting council funding, which is now causing problems in these local areas, which they are now complaining about. You can see the problems for many conservatives doing the rounds in the local elections. But anyway, so he continues saying, we can keep cutting our trade tariffs further to make shopping cheaper for everyone in Britain. No, you can't, because eventually that will have other economic problems, as we talked about before. What about our own home manufacturing base? What happens if it becomes cheaper to import things? What do our home industries do then? That could lead to a lot of unemployment. So again, they don't understand the things that they are asking to do. He continues by saying we can lift the suffocating red tape around nuclear and gas power stations. What exactly red tape do you mean around that red tape? I'd be very skeptical about what red tape he actually wants to sort of cut. Bear in mind, this is a guy who is very, very much on the free markets fundamentalist track of just deregulate everything and let the market sort itself out. The government should have nothing to say in that regard. That is going to lead to a lot of bad problems if that happened. But there you go. Cut the hefty renewable subsidies. Why? Renewables is the direction we should be going in. And get energy prices down to bring manufacturing industry back to Britain. It's going to need more than that. You're going to actually have to have an industrial strategy, which once again your government has not had since it came into power all the way back in 2015, even going back to the coalition. But there you go. And more can follow. Radical change in financial services to stop companies delisting from London. That I think would be incredibly hard to do, very hard to do. Plus, what about the free market? If they want to delist from London, shouldn't they be allowed to do that? Again, using their own arguments against them. VAT reform, VAT reform, or sweeping away the EU regulated regulations that have paused over 100,000 new homes. We can also regulate the industries of the future, like AI, data, genomics, and pharmaceuticals better and faster than the EU. Not at the moment, by the looks of it. You've been unable to actually do that faster than the EU. The EU has proved that it's actually faster than us in regulating. But there you go. Also, what is stopping you from doing all that now? You have an overwhelming majority where you could do all of this. Rishi Sunak is in power. You could be doing all this right now. You could have been doing all of this since 2020, but you have not. This is the continuing thing that is coming up again and again and again. You have not done all these things which you said would make Brexit and Britain a great, wonderful country. You have not done that, and you have failed time and time again to achieve that. You had unlimited control since 2019. You had an overwhelming majority, and yet you have done nothing with that. And when you tried to do that, some of that stuff under Liz Truss, you almost crashed the economy. Well, Liz Truss did crash the economy and of course destroy the UK pension industry as a result of that. But well, it's just the UK pensions industry, right? What would be the problem if the UK pensions industry just went kaput, right? After all, it's not like we pick winners. Anyway, we must do this all as one country. Nearly 5 years on from the, I like this, temporary fix of the Northern Ireland Protocol, it isn't good enough that Northern Ireland is in limbo, deprived of many of our new freedoms. What new freedoms? Northern Ireland, actually, when you look at the economic data, if you take London out, is actually the best performing region in the UK because it is still part of the single market and customs union. Do Brexiteers want to acknowledge that? Oh, absolutely not. But there you go. Or that the British government cannot make reforms without widening gap between us. No self-respecting country would tolerate this indefinitely. So the Windsor Framework cannot last. And the next majority Conservative government must either by negotiation or via new domestic legislation take back full control. Yeah, good luck with the consequences of dealing with that, because once again, where do you put the border? Do you put it in between the north of Ireland and the rest of the Republic of Ireland? Because you can't, because of the Good Friday Agreement. Once again, this argument comes up time and time again. What do you do about the border? You cannot put one there because of the Good Friday Agreement, so you've got to have one in the sea. Oh, you can't have that because, it, separates us as a country. It puts Northern Ireland in limbo. They've still got no clue about that, as they never had a clue on that. So he continues, given the chance, Labour will put British interests last and undo all these Brexit benefits. What benefits? All the stuff you have listed there have not been done by your government that is in control. You have done nothing to take advantage of these supposed Brexit benefits. But he continues, alignment with the EU rules and customs collaboration will be on the agenda again. David Lammy's ill thought out and very, again, naive article in Foreign Affairs recently makes this all clear. It's not naive at all. It's really good achieving some of these partnerships, talking about some of this, working in close cooperation with the EU. They're our closest trading partner, they're our closest neighbor. As always, the further and further we get out of Brexit, the worse the arguments for Brexit become. And eventually, Brexit cannot last. It will be people like this who will cry betrayal, foul, or whatever on this. It will just fall apart. We're already seeing the British public turn against Brexit. So it will not be too long before someone raises their head above the parapet, possibly even in the next parliament, goes, should we rethink Brexit? It's very likely. It's very likely that could happen. So he continues, Labour want a geopolitical partnership with the EU and closer coordination with across a wide variety of military, economic, climate, health, cyber, and energy security issues. This would reward the EU for lack of cooperation on illegal channel migration. The EU have, well, France in particular, because it's them that deal with this, has said, yeah, we will help you. So technically, the EU has offered multiple times to help out on that, but there you go. And then I love this and weaken NATO. How is this going to weaken NATO? By creating a competing power structure for countries that often still do not spend even 2% of GDP on defense. That is wrong right now. That is changing. Most countries right now are on track for paying 2% of GDP on defense or are well on the way to doing so. Also, what competitor when all these countries in Europe are in NATO and that they are strengthening themselves by an economic, military, climate, health, cyber partnerships? Anything that doesn't weaken NATO, that makes NATO stronger. I've yet to hear a compelling argument by why doing that would somehow weaken NATO. But one of the things that the Brexiteers brought up in 2016 that if we if we leave the EU, this will strengthen NATO somehow. Anyway, but he continues. So, yet Labour seem to have forgotten that you do not get anything for nothing from the EU. Yes, because you have a give and take relationship, because that's how international cooperation works. So, what will they give to get all this? New payments into the EU's new supersized budget, twice as big as when we left. Or perhaps joining the EU's burden sharing agreements for the hundreds of thousands illegal migrants that enter the EU's preposterous borders each year. Anyway, Labour will pay any price to be part of that club again. Yeah, and it will benefit Britain to be part of the EU again. And we are not part of the EU now. Technically, according to you and the rest of the Brexiteers, we should be flourishing now that we're out of the EU. You've listed off all the things that we quote could have done, that your government could have done, all since 2016, 2019, with your overwhelming majority. But you haven't done any of that. Nor does anyone in your party advocate for that, bar Liz Truss, and we saw what happened when she was in power. So, anyway, let's finish this off. This is why we believe it's important for the Conservatives to make the case for Brexit. Labour's EU policy is a fantasy. Oh no, cooperation with the EU. What a fantasy. We believe that the Conservative Party can and should do much and more better. Why isn't it? Why hasn't it? Again, you've been in power all this time. You've done Brexit. Why haven't you done all those things? You've had every opportunity to. Anyway, the party needs a serious strategy that definitively finishes the Brexit job, delivers our Brexit opportunities, and enables reform and changes in the interests of everyone in this country. It allows the British people to govern ourselves once again as a free people. Well, we've always been able to govern ourselves, but there you go. Now, maybe the last chance for the Conservatives to actually make that happen. Probably not, because, like I say, you've had all this time to actually do all that stuff, yet you've chosen not to do it. And when you did get that chance, when you did get your person in, pretty much crashed the economy, almost destroyed the UK pensions industry. Yeah, at this point, as we always said, Brexit was going to fail, and it has failed. We've seen what the economic consequences have been. It's been more than 1%. It's been more than 1%. I'd be very interested to know where he actually got that figure from, because the OBR says far, far different. Even independent economic analysts say we've lost way more than 1% from leaving the EU customs union. So very, very hairy cherry pick data. The bizarre argument that somehow working with our European partners weakens NATO. Technically, we work together now when we are in NATO. So, does are we in effect almost weakening NATO by working together now in NATO? Um, yeah, yet more madness. And honestly, I think we are going to see, or we have yet to really see, like the big Brexit cope. I think it's going to come very much after this. And I've said before, I wonder how the pro EU faction, because there is still there, been very, very quiet for a number of years, but it is still there in the Conservative Party. Eventually, they are biding their time and they are waiting for their opportunity. And oh boy, I think in the upcoming Conservative Civil War, you're going to see that faction like go hard. And it would not shock me, maybe to one day see the Conservative Party to do a complete 180 and be incredibly pro EU. Remember, it was always a minority in the Conservative Party that pushed for Brexit. So who knows? We'll see what the future may bring. But as always, thank you very much for watching. And of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.